So, Fortnite 2 is here, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you're probably expecting me to just rip into this game. Honestly, I have less to say about this game than I thought I would. But there's still plenty of things that annoy me about it, so like the rest of these videos, let's just say the good stuff first. I think the new map is fine. I really like the new mechanics like carrying and hiding, and overall I think this map is a good addition to the game. B-, decent map. Alright, let's get into everything else. This is everything about Fortnite 2 that annoys me. For starters, this game is super ugly on low settings. Like, really ugly. On the previous map, I, like many other people, ran the game at low settings because this was the best way to get high frame rates, but also because the game still looked good at low settings. Thanks to Fortnite's art style, low settings still looked presentable and it didn't hinder the feel of the game. However, on the new map, low settings looks really ugly, and it seems to really mess with the colors as well, especially indoors. It's tolerable, but it's also a little odd that even though the graphics got an all-around upgrade with the new update, the bar was somehow set lower than before for the low settings. And you may be thinking, well, why don't you just play on higher settings? Well, that's because even on low settings, the frame rate is insanely inconsistent. Frame drops are constant and often really long, so I think it's understandable why I don't really want to mess around with higher settings. I'm hoping this will be patched out soon, because the frame rate is quickly becoming the most frustrating part of the game. The audio is still horrendous. I don't know how you can have a Battle Royale game out for 2 years and still not fix the thing that everyone and their dog has been complaining about since the beginning. Vertical audio is a total joke, and believe it or not, that's kind of a big deal in a game with an emphasis on vertical combat. And sometimes enemies just don't make footsteps at all. How is it possible that Gears of War, a game Epic made 13 years ago, has better directional audio than a modern game with enough money to do literally anything it wants? Perhaps the most obvious problem with the game right now, at least on PC, is the frame rate. The frame drops are absurd, and it's horribly optimized. I haven't had any crashes just yet, but I've lost numerous gunfights because the frame rate just randomly tanks. I've given Fortnite a lot of flack over the months, but if there's one thing they always did really well, it was the actual running of the game. Up until this point, I could run Fortnite at a locked 144 FPS, but now I'm lucky if I can stay up there for more than a few seconds at a time. This map was not ready to be released. But then again, this is Epic. They've established pretty firmly they don't actually test things before launch. Matchmaking takes forever now. Back when I first started playing Fortnite in like season 3, matchmaking took less than 10 seconds. And that was part of the appeal, honestly. You drop in, you die, and then you just click play and you're dropping into a new match within less than a minute. But since skill-based matchmaking was added into pubs, finding a lobby often takes upward of a minute, and then you have to wait even longer for the lobby to fill up. I just don't get it. You added bots to public matches to fill lobbies up faster, and yet matchmaking has never been this slow. It's almost like skill-based matchmaking kills the flow of the game and benefits nobody. The more that I think about the new map, the more I have mixed feelings about it. It's definitely slower paced, and while I don't think it's too big, I do think the old map was better. Well, the old map. I definitely prefer this map to the recent iterations of the old map, like in season 9 and 10, when things were just hectic and inconsistent, but Fortnite is still yet to top the primetime map. With the amount of people playing this game and with the inclusion of bots, I really don't know why Epic hasn't added multiple maps into rotation like PUBG has. But I guess that would be too much work. The new map is larger and slower paced, but the pacing isn't because of the map's size, it's because of the mobility. Epic removed all of the mobility items with this update. No launch pads, bounce pads, grapplers, impulse nades, nothing. If you want to get faster than the default speed, you have to get into a boat. This is honestly the biggest problem I have with the game right now. It takes me back to before mobility items were added in the first place, and if the game spawned a safe zone that was really far away from you, you had to pretty much just give up on looting and start running because you had to spend 2 minutes getting to the spot, and then when you got to the spot, big surprise, you're unequipped to fight the people already there. I just don't get the logic here. Epic added mobility items in the first place to directly counter the scenario I just described, but now that they added a new map that's even bigger than the original map, they take the mobility items out again and just expect it to not be a problem? Also, speaking of not being properly equipped, the pump shotgun sucks again. Thank you for that, Epic. Thank you. Very cool. The pump is only worth using if you have a blue one or better. Otherwise, just take a tac or even an SMG or a pistol. And I know why they did this. They did it to incentivize people using the workbenches and upgrading their weapons. But the problem with that is that the workbenches are far too spread out and they're way too expensive. Workbenches are pretty much useless until the mid to late game because that's how long it takes to farm up the necessary materials to use them. But then you don't want to spend those materials because you're going to need them for the late game fights. Honestly, I appreciate Epic condensing the weapon sandbox this season because it means you have a lower chance of getting screwed over in the early game with a crappy weapon. But there has to be a middle ground here. If you insist on keeping workbenches in the game, they need to be cheaper and easier to find. Because I'm one 10 damage shotgun blast away from uninstalling. So that's everything in Fortnite 2 that annoys me, that comes to mind at least. And that's of course not covering all the things I've already talked about in this game that I hate, like the bloom, the random shotgun damage, the hitching, the hitboxes, so on and so forth. So let me know how you feel about Fortnite 2 in the comments, and I'll see you all a little later. This video is a little shorter because I just don't care. Fortnite has gotten to the point where just watching Epic do stupid things with it has become more entertaining than actually playing the game. So I guess we'll see what happens next.